It's no going back for the PDP as the party this week took its campaign trip to north-central states of Abuja, Plateau, Nasarawa, and the southeastern states of Anambra and Imo, while the PDP presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, is making a promise to unite Nigerians by treating each zone equitably and providing security for everybody. He has
Hello everyone, good day according to your time. Welcome back to Learning Sticky. Hope you guys are doing well. Please, if you are seeing my channel for the first time, don't forget to subscribe and kindly hit on the notification button. And if you are going to watch this video on Facebook, please don't forget to like and also follow my page so that God bless you. Yes guys, hey, Nigeria, well, on I know the S candidate Atiku, we be saying on the side say this year election now by force by fire. He say no going back, so you don't go Abuja here for the good week campaign, and he say you want unite Nigeria. I love that word though. That word, you want to put all the Nigerians together. May I repeat? You want to put Nigerians together. You want to make all Nigerians, maybe they get the same, like, the same function. It's a question. How is that going to be possible? Because there are a lot of things that need to be done in Nigeria. We have Nigerians all over the world. I keep on saying it. When you travel, you will know that, yes, we have Nigerians all over the world. So before you want to put all Nigerians together, you have to understand that Nigeria is a large country and it has a lot of potential as a country. So some things need to be done, like some homeworks. Okay, I bet when I watch, because now know see when they price, they easy. Now when they go say Madam bring money, now for then I never can say whether Madam ready to take bring money or Madam get the price because they want to try whether I go for put like that. No comments. I pray God help us because the election is quite approaching. See my next update.
The Southeasterners are fighting insecurity and promises to address the River Niger and make the Onitsha a functional seaport. These promises are enough to secure the southeastern vote, especially with the southeast divided, as it were, by the obedient movement. What chances does the PDP have in winning in the southeast? Well, to discuss the PDP campaign train within the week, plus a PDP gaffe made by its presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, Frank Shuaibu, a spokesperson of the Atiku Abubakar, Charles Aniago, PDP PCC spokesperson, and Oscar Osai, I just finished discussing with him earlier, is joining us from our Lagos studio. And I'll start with you, Oscar. By the way, welcome, gentlemen. But let me start with you, Oscar, briefly. For God's sake, let me not take that with you. Atiku promises peace, returning to the southeastern states. How is he going to achieve this? Is this just a political talk? I mean, we know that in the East today, even with all the entire governors, it begs the question that, especially in Imo, it begs the question that every Monday up till now, on Fridays, only recently where people went about their business, nobody goes on business on those days. So how is he going to achieve this? Is he telling us much about how he's going to achieve it? Or is it just a campaign talk, as usual, by politicians?
Well, I'm in a hurry to make a comment here because, first of all, I have interest in the comment. The Southeast has supported PDP from Obasanjo to Yaradua to Jonathan, and even President Buhari did point out that he will focus on areas where he got his votes from. That's where the issue of is it 5% or 2% came in. Now, the point I'm making is that The presidential candidate of the PDP's comment is it's not sufficient to buy the Southeast. He has not broken it down to exactitudes. What practically can you do to make sure that there is peace in this political enclave that has given PDP one of the best supports that any party could have had in the last almost 16, 18 years? We need more. Igbos need more from PDP than they have gotten so far. I say this because I know who I am and I know what I've done in my place. Yeah? What have we gotten? We have gotten promises severally, but when it comes to delivery on the promises, what we see is not what we have heard. So I'm saying that there is need for PDP to do more than ordinary talk, because we have heard talk severally. I am also not somebody that is difficult to please. I hope I'm not presenting myself that way. But I'm just trying to be critical that at this time, the nation needs more than political talk, political statements. Because when government is formed, what you begin to see becomes different from what is discussed before the elections, which is why I tell every person that in my place, as a saying, they say it's not a problem of giving the monkey water with your cup, but that when the monkey has left with the water in the cup, he never returns the cup. That's a problem with politics. It's not what they say, it's what they do that is a problem. So if you say you want to create a unifying factor, you want to bring Nigerians together, tell us how practically, and let us have things that we can tick off. He said A, B, C, D.
I hope you can hear me.
We need to see more. We need to hear more.
Fine. I hope you can hear me. I hope you're not. I hope you're not.
Feedback.
I hope you're not falling into the same trap that the presidential candidate of the PDP is falling into. Briefly, in brief words, when you say more, what are you particularly saying? What are you referring to? Because you are criticizing him for being, if you like, opaque as to how you are going to do it. So when you say more, tell us just quite briefly before I bring in Frank and Charles in Delta State, what more do you want PDP to do?
Well, I want PDP to clearly tell us what they will do in terms of securing the Southeast. There is no Igbo man all over the world that is not afraid to go home for Christmas as we speak. There is businesses are grinding to a halt, and you're dealing with people that are industrious, hardworking people, independent-minded people. So they need peace as a platform to continue their businesses. We need peace in the Southeast. All the federal government infrastructure in the Southeast is run down as we speak. You cannot drive from Onitsha straight to Enugu. You cannot drive from Enugu to Port Harcourt. So, and thankfully, you know, God works in mysterious ways. I believe in God with all of my heart. Listen, it is such a good thing that PDP is under intense pressure to deliver, because the P2B factor is a real factor. Nobody can deny it. I don't want to expose myself.
Fine. You brought that in. I'm going to throw that to Charles. But before I go to Charles, I have Frank here. Frank, this is a quote, and so I'm taking it out of his mouth, out of Atiku's mouth. He says, "For God's sake and for the value of this place, by that I mean he was in Jos Plateau State, where he said he slept overnight. He didn't want to come to Abuja because he wanted, after Nasarawa, he wanted to go to Jos, that he has a house in. So he says, value of this place, ensure that you vote for AP, then of course the pause, and then he says, I mean PDP. It was on the same Tuesday, in the same place, Wampang Stadium. I covered that of APC, that the presidential candidate of the APC did the same thing, and PDP were crying blue mother. But now your presidential candidate has done the exact same thing. Frank.
You see, I think I would want to differ with you, and I would raise two questions, two posers to you. In the first place, you will not say that what transpired were exact or same thing. That will be preposterous and unacceptable to us because we are professionals. First off, you heard a man who made it what we call a slip of the tongue, and he said, AP, I mean PDP. I mean PDP. What it means is that there was a reconnection in terms of his brain, from his brain to his lips. But it is different from a man who suffers from what I call, with profound respect. Hold on. You see, interestingly, I am a speech and language pathologist.
All right.
You understand? And when I meet people or I listen to people, particularly in the case under reference, where Atiku Abubakar said AP, I mean PDP. What it means is that that's what we call a slip of the tongue. And always use the determiner the even before the tongue, because I listened to or I read the presidential spokesman of the APC when he said Atiku made slip of tongue. No, that's wretched illiteracy. A slip of the tongue because it admits the determiner the to specify tongue, and it's a stock phrase that nobody has the poetic, literary, journalistic, legal, or even rascally license to distort or rearrange.
Maybe you should take us back to the classroom.
No.
I don't. When you say hold on, Frank.
Yes.
When you say
yes.
that, are you not playing with words and trying to, is it browbeat or hoodwink us? Because it was practically the same thing. I mean, as Shivaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu said, I think he was praying, then he said, PD, and maybe he switched to APC.
Hold on.
That was the same thing that Atiku did. He said AP,
no,
then he switched and said, I mean. The fact that Bola Ahmed Tinubu did not say, I mean, does not mean that he did not recollect and then switch to his party.
No. I'll give you.
I don't know what the difference is.
With profound respect to you. You see, with profound respect to you, I would love if I don't get interjected so that I can explain better.
Okay. Because
I'm talking from a position of a professional, and I need you to listen to so that you can even learn something here. And yes, it's very important. You're a professional. You're a journalist. I'm a speech and language pathologist, as well as a media assistant to Atiku Abubakar on public communication. And it has to do with communication here. Now we're talking of. So you don't even refer to what Atiku made as a gaffe. Because there is no consistency, there is no persistency. It is not habitual. We're talking of a man says, for instance, oh, I am going to change a rotten situation to a bad one. He never corrected that. He left it. It is not a gaffe.
Eventually.
No, hold on,
okay,
sir. Please, I see.
Go on.
It's not a monologue. It's supposed to be a free dialogue. That's why I'm in your studio, to be interrogated, and you raise the question. Now, we have what we call apraxia. Apraxia is a deficiency. You can run a check on it. You understand me? You know, that bothers on what we call the sensory organs. And when the brain disconnects from the mouth, the lips, and the jaw, you see, the brain understands what it wants to say. Like blah, blah, blue, 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 and all that. You will hear that. But you see, there will be no coordination and no verve. So you cannot equate that with someone who made a slip and say, I mean, and he was deliberate about it. He said, I mean PDP. What it means is that the brain, after the slip, the brain recollected and he got back on track, and he identified that he made the slip by saying, I mean. It is not enough to say, to just correct it and move on. No, sir.
All right.
You understand? So the issue is there two clear situations.
All right.
One of the candidates made a slip of the tongue. The other has a perennial, habitual character, of making consistent gaffes that have become content for skit makers, for TikTokers, for Instagram producers, and content producers.
All right.
So
let me bring in Charles.
Please, with profound respect
when you talk like this, Frank, before I bring in Charles,
yes.
At times I just wonder why politicians wouldn't just accept the fact that a mistake was made. Nobody's infallible. And then we go on.
With profound respect, that's why people said, right. I mean, Good. That means that he admitted that there was an error, and he moved on, he corrected it.
All right, let me bring in Charles. Let me bring in Charles. Charles, good to have you join us. Now let's talk campaigns. If you listen to Oscar.
Thanks for having me.
Good. Oscar, I mean, the talk has been about the fact that Atiku's former vice is now on the ballot box. I'm talking about Peter Obi, who was the former governor of Anambra State, and he is from the southeast. And Oscar was saying there that PDP, southeast is practically PDP has helped PDP in the past, but now there's a different scenario. So he's wondering, and I wonder how you look at it. What are the chances of PDP really, aside what Atiku has said about equitable distribution, dredging the River Niger, and all those promises that politicians usually make during elections? What are the chances of scaling through the Southeast when you have a candidate like Peter Obi there now?
Well, thank you very much for raising some of these issues. The same way you have Peter Obi in the Southeast, the same way you have Atiku in the North, and the same way you have Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the Southwest, and of course Kwakwaso in the North. So individuals would naturally come from somewhere. That a man comes from somewhere does not mean that he cannot be defeated. I may need to take you back to 1992, if you recall Tofa and Abiola. Tofa from Kano, Abiola from Ogun State, Southwest, but Abiola defeated him in Kano. So that a man is from a place does not mean automatically the place will be for him. And so I wouldn't want us to be intimidated by the word fact that somebody is from somewhere. Now, you have raised a number of issues. I can tell you that Atiku is not just speaking, he's not just making promises. The chances of Atiku, both in the Southeast and elsewhere in the country, is far, far brighter than even the Northern Star. And that is on the basis of his pedigree in time past. You recall that during 1999 and 2007, Atiku and Obasanjo held sway in this country. And their record speaks very, very loud. And so to respond to my other brother in the studio, I think Oscar, with respect to whether we are just talking and a politician can make promises, Atiku is not just talking. Atiku is relying on his records. You recall that Atiku has demonstrated that he has the ability to search for talents irrespective of where they are from. Ukojo-Iweala is from Delta State, married to somebody in the Southeast. Atiku discovered her and then thought that she had got a lot to contribute to our country, and then he approached his boss, and that in the person of Olusegun Obasanjo, and that was how Ukojo-Iweala was brought in. Chukwuma Soludo is today the governor of Anambra. Most Nigerians acknowledge the fact that he did very well as the governor of a central bank. Atiku, the talent hunter, also discovered him. What that speaks to is the fact that Atiku has got the ability to discover individuals irrespective of where they are from. And so that makes him a pan-Nigerian. And with a specific respect to the question you asked as to what we are going to do to ensure that we bring back peace in the Southeast, we are going beyond just talking the talk. We are going to walk the talk. That is to the extent that we are going to, as stated in our covenant with Nigerians, which Atiku has brought in even before the primaries of the party, unlike those who went shopping after the primaries and they were still looking for what to put on board because they were not too sure what they wanted to do with Nigerians. Atiku has made it very clear with respect to security that he's going to, first of all, discuss with both state and non-state actors. The major challenge we have in the Southeast is principally activities of non-state actors, who today are seen as agitators in some quarters, while others see them as militants. But Atiku is not going to be involved in labeling. Atiku is going to look at them and say, look, what are the issues? Good enough, a number of the issues are very well known to him. Issues of underdevelopment and issues of marginalization. And he says he's going to address it to ensure that on the decision table, every Nigerian, irrespective of where you are from, is going to be brought on that table. And once you deal with those issues, those persons who are agitating on account of marginalization would have been assuaged, and as such, they will come to the decision table to begin to now join in the governance of this country. Like what Okowa, the running mate of Atiku, have done in Delta, he was able to bring in everybody to the extent that the creeks, where there used to be a whole lot of agitation, is now as peaceful as the upland. Atiku also believing that that formula works is what is going to bring on the table for the purpose of uniting everybody in this country. And so we are quite convinced that Atiku is not just a run-of-the-mill politician. Atiku is somebody who is looking at this country as his home. And being his home, he's going to take decisions that will make everybody feel comfortable. And I can assure you that Atiku, just as he has said, is also going to proceed to form a government of national unity, which they did in 1999. You recall, Ulufalayi of blessed memory, may the good Lord accept his soul, was of the AD. We ran with Shinkafi on the platform of the APP. But even after that election, Obasanjo Atiku brought him on board because they believe he has got a whole lot to put on board for the purpose of a better country. And that is who Atiku is. Bringing everybody irrespective of your political party.
All right, let me bring in.
So even those who are in APC,
yeah,
if they are good, Atiku will bring them on board.
Fantastic. Let me bring in Frank, and I think you will have a word to say or two on this particular issue. Atiku in the Jos campaign said most of their roads, he was speaking to Jos people in Plateau State, APC government hasn't done jack. I mean, hasn't done anything for the past 8 years. But some would question, some would say PDP, well, APC would say, or some other people would say, what happened to PDP's 16 years in power? Atiku switched to PDP in 2017. He was in APC for 2 years, 2015 to 2017. So what happened to PDP's 16 years in power? Because if they had done the roads shouldn't last for just 8 years, you know. So, I mean, aren't you pointing fingers at yourself too when you make such statements, Frank?
No. You see, it would be preposterous to say we're pointing fingers at ourselves. The issue is this: when the APC cannot even say that, it means that they have nothing to campaign with. We're talking of a government that is in power. All we want them to do is to come on board to say, look, this is what we have done in the last 7.5 years. The last 7.5 years have been 7.5 years of arrested development in this country. You know what the statistics are. You know what that this election is about: hunger, is about anger, is about tears, and it's about bloodletting. So the issue is, we built roads in the last 16 years. You don't expect the roads to be in the same state as at today. You don't expect that. You see, a lot of wear and tear will happen. But governance is a continuum, and we expect that, look, there should be continuity. So, but if they failed to fix the roads, if they failed, I remember vividly, and that was why we even raised questions when Asiwaju was, when Bola Tinubu was in Chatham House, and he directed the issue of security to Nasiru El-Rufai. And I'm like, what's this? What's wrong here? How do you direct the issue of security of our nation, a nation of over 200 million people, to a man who ordinarily in the last few months, people could not go to Kaduna by air, they couldn't go by rail, they couldn't go by road. This is a man who, in fact, sometime in 2021, he withdrew his own children from school owing to insecurity, leaving the children of the common men. So
his children are going to public schools.
Hold on, with profound respect to you. Please, you can run a check, you can verify, according to my brother Peter Obi. You can go and verify that. He withdrew at some point, owing to insecurity, he withdrew his children from schools, owing to insecurity, leaving the children of the common men in the school, in schools in Kaduna State. The question is, you cannot give what you don't have. The APC, I expected that the APC will come into this election. You understand me? From a vantage position, by campaigning with what they have done in the last 7.5 years. Only a few days ago, the report by the National Bureau of Statistics was released on our inflation rate. A few weeks ago, we heard about our level of what they call multi-dimensional poverty. That means poverty has risen to an ontological level. And this is where they have brought us to as a people.
Due to many factors.
You say with profound respect, when you say owing to many factors, what are these factors? If the right things were done, I will give you an example. You are able to speak to Charles today from Asaba. You are able to speak with Oscar. I'm sure Oscar is in your Lagos studio. In Lagos studio today, because of what we call telecommunication. And the revolution in that sector was led by Atiku Abubakar under the Atiku Obasanjo administration when they came into office. So what are we talking about? We knew before now how over 13 to 15,000 Nigerians will go and queue in Nitel. You remember vividly.
Some will also tell you that Atiku Abubakar sold assets for practically nothing.
You
But
say-
let's
you
leave
say-
it
no,
there.
no, no,
Charles.
you
Let me
say
bring
it-
in.
you say
Let
it-
let me
you say-
bring in. Let me bring in Charles because we just have. Let me bring in Charles because we just have barely 1 minute. Charles, I want you to address this before I let you men go. The point is, you can't deny the fact that there's an OB in the southeast. Atiku is campaigning in the southeast. That's PDP. You have Labour Party. What are your strategies to be able to make sure that the votes are not divided, or that the votes, because whether you like it or not, PDP used to be PDP is a stronghold of South is the stronghold of PDP. But today you have a candidate there who was formerly the PDP, now in the Labour Party, and is from the Southeast. And then you have your governors. I mean, he was talking about uniting. You have some of your governors not with him. So what are your strategies to make sure that that Southeast comes in for PDP? Because if you don't get it, I'm sure you know what will happen.
But earlier I was actually referring to Bola Ige and not Olufalaye. He was one who contested, but Bola Ige was one who I was brought into the government. Now, on the issue of the Southeast, I'm not underrating P2B. I will not do that, because even if it's just only his vote, it matters not to talk of his vote and that of some other persons that are following him. But what I'm saying is that the PDP is a party that has a whole long stronghold in the Southeast. Most of the persons, the leaders of the Southeast, you needed to see what happened in Anambra and what happened in Imo today. And so for you to understand that the PDP is still very, very strong in the Southeast. And we will continue to hold on to these persons. This election will come down to the units. And these leaders will be the one that will direct those, that will control those who will vote in the units. So it's not just what happened on the streets or on air. It's about how you bring it down to